Hello, everybody, and welcome back to DM Writer's Room. This is Hopeless Prospect Episode 4. This is the introductory adventure to our homebrew world Prospect that we had spent about 7 months crafting. Now we've got the adventure rolling. We've spent, this will be our fourth 2-hour-long session working on it, but I think we're getting pretty close to the end.
We are.
Ethan, if you don't mind taking away a quick recap, I know you're a little bit sick right now, so don't go too long. But take it away.
Quick is a stretch. Okay. So here's the heart of the thing. Oh, good gravy, people. Is that a guy named Mender Ficklesworth wants to get a book called The Tome of Balyar. He gets Foreman Jebediah Flint to hire your group of prospectors. You arrive, fight some wannabe vampires, get the book, get on a train. The train has trouble. Fix the train, get off the train, sneak through the Lephalem Empire. Necromancy's illegal there, and you have a big necromancy book. They try to follow you. You give him the slip. You find the guy. You give him the book. He goes, "Here's 200 gold. I'll give you 200 more if you guard me while I summon something." The party will go, "Yeah, 200 gold sounds cool," or they won't, and they'll leave. He accidentally summons Spooky Bastard. Spooky Bastard rips open a terrible... Not rips open a terrible portal. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this guy's name here. Felcris Thosuar, the steward of Balyar, is summoned forth, an undead spirit. He then summons forth a terrible bone hulk, which starts ripping its way through. That bone hulk is trying to go to the office of one Vestibular Corinne, where it will steal a big load of mining explosives in the hope of destroying the gate to one of the lost cities of the Deathwoken Empire that Felcris Thosuar wants to get into. You will, assumably, kill the bone giant, and then get onto an airship. Woo! You get onto the airship, and then you have to try to survive being attacked by a ghost dragon. As the airship goes over, you see a form of our bad guy. I'm gonna have to put his card up a little bit so I can see his name. You see the form of Felcris off in the distance. He raises his hands in the sky and conjures a large circle and brings forth a ghost dragon, which attacks your airship. This ghost dragon is seeking the Tome of Balyar, which assumably you have. If the party can survive 3 rounds, they will skip a encounter on the ground with a wagon that has been beset by gnolls. If they can survive 6 rounds, they will skip an encounter where a bunch of dust mephits and a sand or maybe air elemental are causing some trouble. And if they can survive for 9 rounds, the narrative will describe the ghost dragon being defeated by the ship. And they will be able to sail over the final thing, which is a literal, army of undead that are just sort of milling about around the Deathwoken Empire's abandoned city. Or they'll mess up and have to do all of those things. And that is where we left off. We will be joining the party in the city as they breach the walls, and upon getting over the walls, they will reach the next level that they want to be. Notably, something that we haven't considered is that this would put them ahead of Felcris if they succeed. If they succeed all 3 checks, Felcris, they're going to beat Felcris there by a couple hours. So that's something for us to think about. I'm going to mute while I blow my nose.
You're good. Before we get started properly, we actually have to do one of our bits.
Yes.
So what we're going to be doing is the pop culture character creation bit, where we roll a D100. I have a list of pop culture characters in front of me that we will have to determine what class they would be in Dungeons & Dragons. So, Michael, if you can roll a D100 for me, I can pull up the character.
All right.
I almost forgot that I have to mute Streamlabs and Discord separately, and almost really sort of wrecked the house of any potential listener.
All right.
Oh, and don't forget, people that are listening, tune in, throw in an idea. If you get, if it seems like we don't have any good ideas and you want to throw one in there, go ahead. I can't guarantee that we'll use it, but we'll at least think about it.
Yep, this is an interactive stream, so feel free, Michael.
We got 36.
36. All right. 36 on the list. We've got Norman Bates, which sort of brings a bit of a darker energy than I'd been anticipating on this list.
Here's the problem. Norman Bates is just like a level 0. Norman Bates is like a CR 1/8 mean man who kills one lady.
Yeah, like a really, really flat affected bandit,
Yeah.
maybe.
I've got a
He
pretty
can't.
good.
He can't be classed.
I have a
Okay,
class for
a new-
Norman Bates.
new,
I've got a plan.
Okay. If you think you got something.
Well, we have to go
I
around,
don't-
right? Do you guys want me to just go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
So the problem is I've never watched like Bates Motel or
Yeah, but you get
Oh
the
my God.
concept, right?
I.
Do you not get the
Killer?
concept? Is this how you let us know that you don't, in fact, get the concept?
Oh,
So, okay,
Well,
I guess
I'm trying to think of what
let's do
Norman
our
Bates
due
is.
diligence. This is our bit. Come on, this is our foundation. These viewers are supposed to watch this and then send us money. So, Norman Bates is the titular character in Psycho. He is a man who owns the Bates Motel, which is sort of off to the side in this area. A young woman steals a bunch of money from her boss. There's like a larger plot there. She's driving off into somewhere. She stops at the Bates Motel and gets murdered by Norman Bates. I think other people die in the movie. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in a very long time. There's a
She
remake.
definitely gets got in the shower. I
Yeah,
know
that's-
that part.
the
Yeah.
famous ree. That's that
Yeah.
movie. There's a
Yeah.
remake with Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates,
Yeah.
which is a wild call. We go through. I think he kills a couple more people. There's like a mystery. It seems like he's killing people because his mother is driving him insane. And then in the end, it is revealed that his mother has been dead for years, and that Norman Bates is either literally or just like mental health wise possessed by his mother. And his mother is the one killing people, right? Is that basically when Norman kills people, it's because the spirit or just the like trauma of his mother is making him kill those people. Then there's Bates Motel, which is like a weird sort of vaguely incesty show about the same concept. This is an oft-returned to bit. All that being equal, I put Dear Norman as a level 3 Phantom Rogue. Phantom Rogues are... Some rogues discover a mystical connection to death itself. These rogues take knowledge from the dead and become immersed in negative energy, eventually becoming like ghosts. They can call on spirits and echoes of those that have passed to do their dark deeds. And so I would put Norman Bates... I would love to make him level 1, but rogues don't get their subclass until level 3, so unfortunately I have to kind of shoot the moon a little bit. I would put him as a level 3 Phantom Rogue.
And I got mine, and it's Barbarian Path of the Ancestral Guardian.
So dark. Insanely dark.
With the whole motherly connection there, making him do the killing. Beyond that, the barbarian's rage that seems to come out throughout the film. He didn't strike me as being particularly stealthy. He does show up at a time when she's like in the shower, so it's easier to sneak up on her. So I guess that is very roguish. But dude just takes a knife and goes to town, and he is obsessed with his dead mom. So Ancestral Guardian for sure.
Oh, wait, give me 1 second. I just have to look up this path really quick.
Just to be sure you got it. Out of those two, I'm going to be so real. I watched this movie maybe 12 years ago.
Spencer's
It's been
camera's
so
been
long.
jacked up this whole time because I forgot to get rid of show non-video participants.
Oh.
Someday we'll have a clean stream. It's got to happen
One of these
eventually.
days.
All right, we got to keep talking.
Yeah,
We got
alright,
dead air
so-
right now.
I got. So, Bard level 3, College of Spirits.
Okay.
Yeah, classic. Classic.
If there's like a
the-
musical episode.
I feel like
I would love to see Norman Bates do a musical.
it's the reep, 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 reep. He's actually just making that noise when he's doing it. People don't know that. That's a fun fact. All right, out of those three, what do we think is the true answer?
I liked Rogue, but I'm pretty persuaded by Barbarian.
Yeah, the dark nature of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the ancestor, I think, that did me for that one. So I do think that he's more of a rogue at his core, well, with his stealth, but I do think that Ancestral Guardian just slots in better. All right, now we can jump in to our actual creation here.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, so we've got it pretty much handled at this point, and I don't think we need to go back and be like, how many gnolls? How many dust miffits?
Nah, we'll do that in post.
Yeah.
So I think we need to start sort of cracking out about this here nasty place. We are going to, here we go, the Undying Necropolis. What a normal society the Deathwoken Empire had.
Look, it was really easy to paint them as evil because their naming conventions were just terrible. Just awful.
Yeah, they are a good example. We were just talking about this, of a group where you're like, oh, so you guys were like evil. Where it's like, yeah, and then we found out that the undead that we were bringing back were also trapping souls in Grove to be hunted forever by ghouls. And it's like, oh, when you found out, did you stop? No. No, we just kind of kept rolling with the punches. So it's safe to assume that this is Felcris Thosuar's like home turf, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
hometown, baby.
Felcris Thosuar is going to the Undying Necropolis. He wants to use mining explosives to blow a hole in the wall. What is Felcris here for? What's the goal?
I feel like we had talked about that before, but I don't remember the answer.
Let me
I have actually a 2-tiered response to what we've just said.
Oh,
I'll comb through the notes really quick to see if I'm missing anything.
so we kind of made it a bit.
Good.
He was going to try and like resurrect or summon
Yes.
the I don't remember his name.
Baliar Deathwoken, the actual
yes, Baliar.
emperor.
And he gets a message back if he succeeds of like, fuck off, I'm doing something.
Yeah, I'm busy right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke on like I can't remember what it is. There's a famous old D&D adventure where somebody's trying to summon Orcus, and if the players totally whiff, the end of the adventure isn't and then Orcus destroys the world. It's like, this idiot's not strong enough to summon Orcus, and so instead he summons just like a really powerful demon who the party has to fight or be killed by. So Felcris Thosuar believes that he is going to summon Baliar Deathwoken back into the world and rebirth the Deathwoken Empire, right? Resurrect them in whole cloth. So we're getting pretty close to the plot of Brendan Fraser's 1997 film The Mummy.
Which is fine. That's fine.
It's definitely a lateral move. It's not direct, right? But it's, I would say, at least tangentially connected. So, okay, so Felcris Thosuar appears. He makes his way to this city off in the desert. And then he wants to get into... Is it were the Deathwoken Empire, like... We haven't really fleshed them out, because they are sort of this vague, like, dead
gone, dead.
Is it, like, temples? Or is it, like, arcane towers? Or is... Because, like, those are very... We need to decide what magic feels like in the Deathwoken Empire. Is it temples?
All crypts.
Yeah, like, because I'm having a lot of trouble sort of, like, piecing out what it looks like there. Is it, like, arcane? Are they studying undeath and its nature to create spells to cause more efficient undeath? Or is it, like, a temple sort of setup to construct great rituals? Or is it, when we first described them before they were the bad guys, there was a moment where they weren't the bad guys yet, where we didn't know that necromancy was bad. Which is sort of part of the process of coming up with these worlds together in a space like this. The Deathwoken Empire started as just, they resurrect skeletons to till fields. That was the concept that we were interested in, is just the idea that, like, when people die, their skeletons are just resurrected, and they just till the fields and do the manual labor. And then later, we were like, and then it is discovered that it's that has dire consequences, and then I think we decided in the moment on a lark, like, how did they react to that? And I think we just randomly said, like, they were like, whatever, like, I don't give a shit.
We're not gonna stop.
Our whole society's built on that. If we stop now, we're not even a society anymore. We can't function. And so now they're the bad guys. So, like, is it like offering prayer to this god of life and death to resurrect these bodies? Or is it sort of hijacking that magic to bring back the dead?
I see it going both ways. On the one hand, they could be saying, we're making death more permanent by locking the spirits behind that wall. So death is forever because we're bringing back the dead. So that's them praying to the god of death, who they considered not to be the god of life and death, just death. Or it's we're doing it against his will. I feel like it's probably more religious based. They are doing it as a form of worship. Mistakenly.
Yeah, because
mistakenly. I think because it does work in a sense, I think he's like, all right, it's within my purview, so
it is super important to solidify. I have to pop open the obsidian really quick for all of our...
that the primary gods are just unknowable?
I just need to get their names
yeah, fair.
concrete so that we don't but yes, that is what I'm referring to. So there are the higher gods are Arcist, Respis, and Vildarin, and then the lower gods are infinite. Every rock, in theory, has a lower god of that rock. It just might be an imperceptible, unthought little echo of a spirit. Arcist, Respis, and Vildarin are the higher gods, and they, if you pray to them, you get power. That's it. They have no will that can be tracked by mortals. They have no design. Even the lower gods do not understand the design of the three high gods. They do not understand what they are doing. There is no thing. The lower gods need to hold a giant ritual where they all go to the same place and hold a great moot.
The assembly.
To get the higher gods to elect on an issue. And the last time they did that, the lower god that was like asking whatever he was asking was just unmade. And so like sometimes that's the answer, is like, how dare you, I unmake you, and they are just unzipped and turned into nothing. Respis is just the high god of life and death. That is it. If enough people die in the same place, a big black hole in the sky opens, and everybody knows that is Respis's eye, that Respis watches and then disappears. So I'm down for the idea that they have interpreted it as, oh, Respis thinks this is good. But it's important to note that they are as random in that choice as the Lephalum Empire are. It's just random. Yeah. It's just them deciding that, that is probably, they're like, reading a sign onto what they want it to be.
And that's where the schism comes between the two empires. They both believe they're doing the right thing. There is no right thing.
And so we're going for this like temple style. So basically it's just people are like, oh, but this creates ghouls in the other world. And see, we're kind of back around. And the Deathwoken Empire is like, yup.
Good.
And Respis gave us this ability and hasn't stopped us. So that must be part of the cycle, right? He would have stopped us. We now know, because of the lore that we've written, trying to get, hey guys, any of you listening out there, trying to get this published.
My God, it's so
much. We know that now there are angels of Respis called shepherds that are like suffuse the world. Like if you cast like True Sight on yourself, you'll just see them moving around, and they don't take a big scythe and hunt necromancers. So okay, that's fair enough. So we like the idea that it is this sort of like huge temples, communal chants, and all of these skeletons rise is sort of the vibe. It's not like one evil wizard.
No. Now here's a big point for me. He wakes up the bone monster to get the explosives to blow a hole in the front door. Makes perfect sense. We do have the characters stop that thing. So that can't have been his only plan to get inside. That's like plan C for this dude to get into the temple. Because otherwise, mission accomplished. I feel like he sent the Bone Devil not Bone Devil, whatever he is, Bone Construct.
We don't
to
have
get
like
all
a
that
good lock yet.
No, to get all that, to then blow a hole in it so the raised armies of the dead that will appear will be able to bust out more easily. But it can't be that's how he's getting in.
Well, no, because we
Otherwise,
have him
yeah,
as a wraith,
That's already done.
so he can
Yeah,
just
you
go
just
through
walk
the
through.
wall.
Yeah. So that's just to make it so the zombies and ghouls and whatnot can bust out more easily.
We had this thought before when we were debating whether it should be mining explosives or like some kind of artifact or like blood or something. We might need to revisit that choice and
Laser
sort
cannon.
of make a lateral move. If not, I like the idea that it's just like the creatures, the undead that are inside the walls were made for the Deathwoken Empire to be perfectly self-sufficient. That was always their goal. So instead he would just be, this is just a change of goals. He's like, I'm not doing this for self-sufficiency. This is for vengeance. Very different vibe. I have so many interesting questions about Felcris Thosuar. Like, where was he? Was he in the book? Like, did he get revived? Did somebody drop dead somewhere? Or was Felcris trapped in the tome? Like, I got questions. Okay.
Great question.
So Felcris Thosuar. So let's just walk through this in motion. The party rolls up. They're looking at this structure. We have these as these sort of like creepy hives almost. These like giant like 30 stories tall, like 1.5 mile wide buildings essentially that have an entire civilization just locked in. And that is how the Deathwoken Empire lived, in these like perfectly insular communities. So our party rolls up to a wall.
Pyramid.
Can't do pyramids.
Yeah.
Mummy-like.
Yep. If at any point it feels like we're miming our stuff after a real world culture, that's when you pull up on the fucking joystick and make a different choice.
We could do it's just a big block, a big square, a black square.
That's pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, just a cube.
It's just a cube.
All right. It's either here's what we got, guys. It's a big it's a big cube. It's a big triangle. If it's a big triangle, we cannot bring up anything even vaguely mummy-ish for the rest of the adventure. We can do a pyramid if we don't do anything else that has to do with pyramids. Because I'm not here to be
No
like,
mummy
Egyptians,
lords.
we're a death cult. We're not doing that.
It's an upside down pyramid, nothing like it.
Here's the thing,
Yeah,
though,
a
because it's a
cube is
Deathwoken
fine.
Empire, I don't hate the idea of like it's an upside down pyramid floating 20 feet off the ground. Like, I don't hate any of these options. We just got to make sure that we're making a choice that has more to do with the Deathwoken Empire than it has to do with our world and what we are familiar with. So we got a big cube, we got a big cylinder, and then we've got a big triangle, right? I can't think of or a sphere, I guess. So do we want to do? Where are we leaning?
I'm leaning big cube.
All right.
That's easy. It's right there. It's foreboding when you see it.
Is it a big cube buried in sand, or is it a big cube standing above the sand?
Big cube mostly buried in the sand. It's been a long time.
I was thinking quarter to half buried.
Love that.
Uh,
We'll go half.
front door's blocked.
Okay, so it's a big cube half buried in the sand. The party rolls up, and they see no way to enter. Encounter 1. Get into the fucking cube.
Now,
There
how
you
do you
go.
get
Mold-
into the big
Mold
cube?
Earth.
You got mold earth, would totally
Hey,
work.
Gotta
If-
do it.
would work to get through the sand. Mold earth does not let you get through cut stone. But it would let you get through the sand down. You guys did something like this. You guys got into a ash-logged temple in one of our games. So, like, one of the answers is the party spends a full calendar day digging. Okay, so encounter 1 is... So, obviously, let's leave out the, like, boring options, right? If they cast Mold Earth 25 times to get down to the front gate, good for them.
They ran.
Kind of boring, but, like, sure. If they dig a big hole, all right? Cool. Halfway through that, Felcris will show up and conjure a bunch of undead, and it's gonna get. And he'll cast Dance Macabre and bring 10 skeletons to life. What's the? So give me a. Or the party has the mining explosives from the giant, and doesn't think very critically in the moment, and goes, "We'll just blow a hole in the side," not thinking like, it seems like that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that could
Yeah.
definitely
So
work.
option one: blow a big hole in the wall.
Having it be half buried in sand gives us a very good option for the mining explosive and why he would want it. The mining explosive could give him, could give the creatures that he summons the shortest distance in and out. Do you know what I mean? So instead of having to move through the city, it could pop them through the side.
Sure.
Just through that wall. Yeah.
I don't know. I still think we're probably gonna end up turning it into a vial of blood or some shit. So if they don't do the mining explosives, which is objectively a bad idea, and they don't dig a hole and they don't cast mold earth, how do they get in this?
There's
how do they get
gotta
into the
be-
box?
Hidden entrance.
We got to do some speak friend and enter shit.
Yeah, it's gotta be a secret password. Yeah, I mean there would be. This is walled, so it can't just be a door or a window. And we're half submerged, so it has to be something halfway up a big cube.
So
See, I was thinking hidden entrance on the top.
I see
yeah.
two options really. One is you say the phrase or you do the thing, and part of the cube shift, and a doorway opens. That could be on the top, that could be on the side, that could be whatever. Or the party does something that activates the cube, and all the sand is woof, sent away. Whatever magic, what would it be? It would be just an incredibly powerful version of prestidigitation, which is blast the sand away from the cube. Those are the two options. One of them is more cinematic, but a little weird. The other one is less cinematic, but we're going to have to do a riddle or something.
I think you have to get to the top of the cube, and that's where the call sign password is from putting together both of the ideas. You get up to the top, it's speak this and enter. You do the thing, and then it opens up a stairway down. Easy. Yeah.
I feel like the riddle would probably deal with a sacrifice sort of thing. Cut your hand and bleed into something.
Yeah.
A classic D&D.
It feels very Deathwoken.
Very important moment, though. We're about to put the Deathwoken Empire has been coming on and off the villain line. We're about to really put a pin on where they are on the villain line. If it's sacrifice a living being, we're putting them pretty deep in Evil Town, which is fine. That's okay. It's just we're making a weird. These are weirdo libertarian magic fascists. They're not good no matter what.
I don't think it's sacrifice a person. Just something something that deals with the death side of the life and death. It could be a dead plant or something like that. I don't know.
If it's not cut your hand and drop blood, it's a password. It's a puzzle, which we don't do on this stream because it takes too long. But those are the two options. One, you blow a hole in the side of the pyramid. Two, you climb to the top and you solve the riddle.
I think we gotta skip the puzzle because
Yes.
a puzzle. Too many parties aren't going to want to solve the puzzle. Unless it is a puzzle for 5th graders, it's a bad idea. Or we need to just attach it to a D&D thing so that it can be make a history check. You know the answer to the puzzle. So you walk up top, and on the top of the pyramid there is a dais. There is a recess in that makes a bowl, like a little culvert. That bowl looks like it can hold about. I'm just going off the dome. I'm feeling good about this. It looks like it can hold about a liter of liquid. You're like, I'm already putting the pieces together. The party tries to dump in water. That doesn't work. Somebody casts an Arcana check, and they're like, there's a faint hint of necromancy around it, and also a more specific thing. Make another check. The DC this time is 15. You make it hemalurgy, blood magic. This is meant to be a lethal amount of blood that needs to be put in. It's like a full quart, right? You will not be in good shape after you dump a quart of blood. A dumb party will say, barbarian, dump a quart of blood. Congratulations, that barbarian has the poisoned condition for the neck until their next long rest. Or the party is smart and everybody cuts their hands and each of them dump a half a cup of blood out. They fill it, and a doorway opens. They also then watch in curious horror as that blood drains away to somewhere, and probably like you see some runes across the surface of the cube begin to spark to life, as if you are restoring a little shard of the necromantic energy that once empowered this entire cube. And then a doorway goes, and they get to go inside of the big scary cube. That's just Dome Piece. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, love it.
Easy. It also gives the party an option where somebody can run up and just use a 3rd level spell and cast Dispel Magic. Where it's like, yeah, it's a magical thing. They go, oh cool, I cast Dispel Magic, and it goes, yep, and the doorway opens. Because most of the time, if the power to a building cuts, the doors don't, like, if a modern building has electric deadbolts and the power shuts down, the doors unlock. They don't lock.
Plus, casting at this level, a 3rd level spell slot, just as good as far as I'm concerned, as everybody losing a d6 of necrotic damage.
Yeah. 1 liter blood to get in secret door.
And in they go.
And everybody loves the scene where you watch the blood like magically fill the filigree of the mural, and it depicts Baliar Deathwoken overseeing or whatever. I gotta stop coughing, boys. All right, you get through the doorway, and then what? And then the players are they immediately faced with like a massive cityscape?
No, this is like the guard's entrance to this place. I think the first thing they encounter is 2 skeletons wearing a helmet and shield and long swords that attack them. You just get jumped by ancient revived skeletons.
Yeah, so this would be how like an attaché would come visit. Oh, come on. Guys, I didn't leave my note card out.
Oh.
This is how an attaché would visit the Undying Necropolis. They would roll up, they would sacrifice a liter of blood, probably like a goat worth, right? The doorway would open, they would come down, and they would be greeted by guards who would, for what purpose do you enter the necropolis? So, how many guards are in that room?
4. I said 2 because that's more fun, but 4 this is a higher level party than 2 guards could cause a problem for.
Okay. These 4 guards, were they always skeletons?
Yeah.
That seems thematically correct.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 guards are undead. I think you show up, and these guards don't know that the world is over, and they say, "What brings you to the necropolis?" I have 2 questions. 1, are they speaking common? Or are they speaking some old language? And 2, what's the right answer? Right? You have to be able to... My guess is if you handle this correctly, you're just going to be able to go like, we're here as a trade attaché from Bastion? And they'll go, I have not heard of Bastion. What is this city? And then you'll be like,
Common had already existed at this point when they were destroyed. I think we'd established that Common was very early.
Common is the language created by what will go on to become the Pylordian technocracy, which at this time are just the people of Pylord. Pylord being a nowhere place. So basically the people that do not fit in other places make like a lumped together nation. We said it was initially formed by people who were born into magical families in the Arcane Empire who were born without magical powers, eventually form the people of Pylord. So that is their language at this point. It's very common for other people to speak it because they are sort of the like traversing tradesmen of the world. Some Deathwoken would know it, but it probably wouldn't be the first language they would speak.
No, the skeletons might say something in essentially gibberish to begin with, and when the party doesn't respond, then they would probably pull out Common, and they'd go, "Why are you here?" They go, "Oh, Jesus Christ. It's actually speaking."
I think if anyone makes a high enough history check or pulls out of their ass that they're, I don't know, they have to be from like the Arcane Society, ambassadors from that location.
I think Michael makes a good point, right? This is mainly going to be, it's either just a high persuasion check to just say, I'm a merchant, or it's a history check to very quickly do the math on where you can't be from. Because you can't be from the Lephalem Empire at all. You probably can't be from, like, if you had something to do with, like, the nature domain, that's going to be kind of weird. So you have to be from one of a few very specific places for them to not be angry that you're there.
Yep.
Or
So,
it's deception or persuasion. This is just the thing where you're like, they either make a good check or they fight 4 guards.
Charisma / wisdom check. Whoever rolls for this one, if they get above a 15, you're good. They'll let you pass. They don't escort you because that's lame.
No, their post. They'll, I think, if you charisma or if you check through, they'll point you in the direction. But
so you pass through, and then you go through something. A deep part of me wants to pull some real North Korea shit and say that you get past them and you go through, like, the carousel of progress. Like, you go through this thing that's, like, just a bunch of propaganda that's, like, talking about...
Welcome to the greatest empire.
Yeah, to the great empire of the Deathwoken. Like, we believe in you kind of thing. It's either that or... you pass through what would have once been a series of magical scans and stuff that don't work.
Yeah.
You go through a long tunnel covered in sigils and traces, and you describe to the party, like, you feel as if you should be seeing magical effects, but nothing is triggering. This place is dead.
It's just like the Lephalem Empire when you first get off the train and they've got, like, sentries posted and magical wards and shit. Exactly the same. Which it should be, because they were the same empire 10,000 years ago.
You want to know what's funny? If somebody puts two and two together and somebody, like, tries to do blood magic on these sigils now, it works, but bad.
It works, but it sucks.
Fires a shot at it, just shoots them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They make their way through, and then it opens up into a massive city, like a network. Here's where we get into a little bit of a dicey thing, right? We enter this large city that is at the heart of the cube. It's pitch dark. You know, we describe odd things, like there is a sense that you can see, like, if you feel around, or those of you with dark vision, you can see sconces on the wall where lights should be burning, but nothing is working, right? The magic here is long since gone inert. Do we want to have a city's worth of shit to do? Like, because this is like, you know, leaving Phandelver and heading to everything else. So this is like a big dungeon at the end, because the party's still the same level as they were when they arrived. When they get to the dungeon, they are level 4. Right now they're still level 3. So they look out across this thing. How much of this do we want to populate?
Oh,
I mean,
skeletons.
Yeah, making a super dungeon is so funny and so hard.
There is a dungeon at the end of this. They are going to get to a big building, and that big building's a dungeon. So the question is, right now, is it just make 3 random encounter checks as you try to navigate the city, or is it we make a couple of key areas that they have to maneuver their way between? This is a weird spot in D&D, right? Because nobody should need to design the whole city. But there will be a moment of panic, of DM sweat for the DM where we don't have that answer for them. So I'm tempted to say, like, we make 5 landmarks that matter?
I would say, yes, we have to make it look at least passable. But they make it out. They have to make a survival or perception check to find their way to a general area. So that'd be the first place, our first landmark. There's probably going to be some monsters here. After that, the lights that have been inert begin to glow from one area. That's where the fuck they're going. The dude, Thor.
Oh, here we go. It's Felchris Thosuar.
Felchris. He has begun to reinstitute the magic. So they know where the fuck they're going, and it's the middle of the area, the bottom of a crypt or whatever.
So one of 2 things happens. Either A, they've arrived before Felchris Thosuar, they make their way through the city, they make some survival checks, they're making their way there. in the dark. Or option 2, and then after, let's say, 3 checks, you hear a terrible whatever, Felcris, Thosuar comes through the wall, and you watch the city start to, like, shudder to life. You watch a fake starscape illuminate across the sky, like the city starts to, like, stutteringly come to life. Or the party is here after Felcris has arrived, and they arrive to see ahead of them the tower or whatever that they are headed to actually illuminated, and they are sort of following that lamp post.
Michael?
I was just gonna say it'd be fun to have a little bit of mirroring and have like a garden of remembrance here also.
The problem is the Garden of Remembrance is from the genocide of the Deathwoken Empire.
It could be like so it could be maybe there were a few people left here and it wasn't a Garden of Remembrance, but like I don't know, a Garden of Retribution.
Yeah, I think that we can get the same effect. I get what Michael's going for here. I think it's just as they pass through a sort of like temple district, it is just strikingly similar to the Nephilim Empire. Like there are statues commemorating the dead, but a watchful eye will notice that some of those statues are crumbling, and embedded in those statues are the skeletons of the people that are being commemorated, right? It's just like a little switch difference between the two as you make your way through. So the guards are still alive.
Yep.
Are the city guard alive? Like, are the city guard walking around as bones?
One of the things that I had said before is that I thought that a possibility would be that undead have been coming out of this city sporadically for a long time, and they just cause problems for caravans and random groups and shit like that, because that's true for all of the Deathwoken Empire outposts and areas. They just consistently spit out undead. So yeah, I think that there are just a lot of undead wandering about.
It's funny that, like, okay, so the way that I'm visualizing this, though, is so, like, there are random undead, which are thoughtless, low, like, CR1, like, intelligence 1, charisma 2, like, stumbling undead. And then we met guards. So then there are, like, programmed undead that aren't, like, the actual soul of the being, right? They are programmed to act a certain way. So something that's really funny is there are guards that are guarding thoughtless undead. So, like, patrolling the street are guards with halberds, like, making their way down that, like, bump into a zombie and are like, apologies, and the zombie, like, and then wanders down the street.
I think if you go to somewhere that there's, like, a little bit of farming land, there's still tillers.
There's crops. I think that I was going to say the exact same thing. There's crops still going. Those skeletons are still tilling.
So much food here.
But
yeah,
there's a lot of rotten, but I mean,
we've gotten to a really wait a minute. We've gotten to a really weird lore place where, like, so did the Undying Necropolis just, like, not get hit? Or did it get stormed instead of, like, do we see, like, signs of battle everywhere? It's just this wasn't one of the places that they could just bomb. Because we know that that's what happened. Airships bombed the other cities. But this one, thankfully, we have described as a cube. So is it just that, like, here you see dozens of corpses and signs of combat?
And you see uniforms from both sides, the tatters of it. Yeah, I think that makes sense. This one was just a massive impenetrable cube.
I think
then we're going to bomb
zombies with both tatterings on them.
And if you had dug out the all of the sand, you see that the gate has been, like, battering ram.
Yeah. Okay, that's just an important note there. Okay, so we see signs of battle. Okay, so we've got 2 encounters in the bag. And then we move into this, like, cityscape. I'm just trying to get a vibe for what this feels like. We could do the like Tribord Trail, kind of like we make 5 locations and we don't put them on the map. And we're like, just take them to 1 or 2 of these places. Hint that the other ones exist, so if the party wants to take some time here and not just beeline it, they can, I guess. It would be a little weird, but they could. So let's make like 5 locations that matter enough, right? And figure out what that looks like. So you get through, you see the signs of battle, you're making your way through this garden. Off in the distance, we see the dungeon. Is the dungeon a tower? Is it a necropolis? Is it a mausoleum? Is it a government building? What does it look? What does this building feel like? Does it feel like a tomb? Does it feel like a government building? Does it feel like a military building? Does it feel like a dungeon? Is it a dungeon? Is it like, the lost lab of whatever?
I think that center town, it is a massive mausoleum. And it holds, like, the bodies of the emperor over the last several generations and his family, her family, etc. from the previous incarnations.
Okay.
Right? And they're locked away so it can't be revived because that would fuck up the chain.
That's really fun. That's really interesting.
So it's all there.
Yeah, you've opened the door to a very, like, Looper thing where, like, if you didn't want somebody to be brought back to be able to speak, you could raise them as a skeleton and just chain them up.
Yeah.
And they would just be there. They'd be stuck forever. And nobody would be able to cast, Revivify or whatever. Okay, so location 5 is this mausoleum. It is the seat of Empire. Very cool. I want 4 other locations that are fun and matter. We don't need to flesh them out too much.
So we talked about Deathwoken making these, and I don't think we want our party to go there, but I would like an ossuary.
Yeah. I could see an ossuary being like an ossuary lab.
Well, we need
Something
to.
like that.
So we need to rename our gnolls at some point. I don't think we ever did.
But the ossuary is just the bone church, right?
Gnolls make them.
Mm-hmm.
A gnoll.
I thought
a gnoll
Deathwoken made the first one, though.
Deathwoken summoned the first gnoll equivalent. I don't know what to. We got to figure that out.
Please
Summoned
call
the
them
first gnoll, and then those gnolls, it increasingly turned out, had a like hive structure to them, where they would multiply as much as possible, convert other coyotes and wild animals to gnolls, and then start building these massive ossuaries that for a long time the Deathwoken Empire didn't understand what they were doing. They would just build these ossuaries. I like it because it's kind of cosmic horror, right? They summon these things, and those things already know what to do. That's fun in a way that I really like. They start building these giant ossuaries. The Deathwoken don't really understand why until the first ossuar, the first of these like gnoll vampires, emerges from one, and they're like, oh shit. Like they had a whole thing going on.
What did we do?
There could totally be an ossuary down here. It would just mean that there is a gnoll colony like jammed in the corner here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. They're like through a crack section of the wall in the ground, this like pit that you can see. And we already introduced that gnolls were attacking a caravan, 15 miles out. So it makes sense for them to be around.
So to keep this from being a lethal encounter, we can either do one of two things. We can either just not have the ossuar be there, or we can say that this gnoll ossuary predated when the city was destroyed, and they find the ossuary and they find a dead ossuar.
I think they find a dead ossuar. That way they get... This is like exploration instead of combat.
They find this hulking creature that has been felled by 1,000 longsword and arrows, surrounded by dead bodies. And they fight some gnolls, but most like witherlings and stuff are like CR 1/8. They can fight like 16
the gnoll
of
skeletons.
Those. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't think that they fight any on the way in, but on the way out.
Again, it's like a hive.
Out of those, Larry.
Yeah. Yeah, they get to go in and explore, and then from side sections, they start crawling out. Their skeletons still formed.
Yeah, again, witherlings are sitting at like 8 HP. They're going to be able to put those idiots in the ground pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, legally distinct bone-based gnoll-like creatures. Okay, so that's one of the options. I love that. We're just describing, at this point, it's just describing stuff and asking the players where they go. You see a giant cathedral born and made of bone. That's fun. What's another Deathwoken thing we want to introduce?
In the lead up, this is in that Hall of Retribution that, Michael, you were talking about, Garden of Retribution. I think that those statues that have the undead inside of them, well, the dead inside of them, are like a long walkway leading to that massive Colosseum. Or not Colosseum, crypt.
I don't hate putting a Colosseum in here, but no, I got you.
It's pretty sick, too. Yeah, and they were put into statue to protect them from being risen in a much less serious way than the Emperor and his families had been. So that way, there's still that. Some of them have probably broken through with the necromantic magic being pulled through from our asshole BBEG. Some of them are probably coming through the statues to attack you.
So is that one of our locations then? Is this sort of promenade?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's pre-dungeon.
Promenade of the Great...
In a Colosseum. We got a Colosseum.
All right.
Cool with Colosseum.
In a Colosseum. Why is there a Colosseum? What do they do there?
Prisoners of war.
Bad guys. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of getting a sense that, like, because, like, we know that they made the gnolls, and apparently this is one of the places where they researched them. They were so dedicated to the research that they let them build an ossuary here. I like the idea that this is one of the places, the Colosseum, where the Deathwoken would, like, test weapons on prisoners. Just to, like, let's test the effectiveness. And they would arm up prisoners and kick them out to fight, you know, in ossuary and watch it rip them to pieces.
Yeah.
All right, I need one more location. We have 5 grim things. I need something normal. I need something banal. I need a frozen yogurt shop.
How about a lake?
Yeah, a lake with farming land around it. Because, again, that's their main shit. They're self-sufficient. So we've got farmland and water.
Okay, so there's like a big, like, vertical farm.
Yeah.
That is fully
Fully
food.
stocked.
Yep.
Yeah, they see signs of where generations of crops have been put out, and then as they began to rot, were used as compost to plant more vegetables. And there's just these absolutely pristine crops, perfect tomatoes, perfect carrots. I like the idea then that no matter what, when they enter, there is this one illuminated tower off in the distance, and they'll mistakenly head there if they beat Felcris, those who are there, only to discover that it is these, like, globes of magical sunlight that keep the plants growing.
Yeah.
I
got shit.
I think if someone's smart enough to, like, grab a bunch of, like, the soil, it could sell good. Like, this stuff.
This is primo.
Yeah.
Immaculate topsoil in a world that is, like, destitute.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like the idea that, like, the skeletons have been crossbreeding, like, tomatoes and stuff, trying to get the perfect tomato all this time. Yeah, that's just for fun, but yes.
Okay, so they do all of those things. Each of these locations, we will put, like, a little adventure in, not like a full, but like 3 encounters, 4 encounters, just enough for the party to spend a session or half a session there, so that we can justify that on top of the dragon fight, the walk over here, fighting the Bone Hulk. You know, all of that makes us feel like we earn level 4 when we arrive at the mausoleum. Is it like really straightforward? Is it the Tomb of the Emperor? Is it the Tomb of the Undying? Is it the Tomb Undying because we're in the Undying Necropolis? Is it the Tomb of the Emperor? Is it the Emperor's Rest? Is it
the Hereditary Tomb? The Tomb of Lineage.
Tomb of Lineage, the Tomb of the Dynasty.
I like the Tomb of Lineage. It's cut and dry, but it doesn't straight up say it's the Emperor's tomb. You can put two and two together, but it's not just on the box.
Now, it is important to note, the Tomb of Lineage, this is a big dungeon. When they get to the end, we say, good job, you're level 5. So that means that we need a lot of shit to happen. They need to probably rest twice in the tomb.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of undead enemies to craft, I fear.
Let me crunch the numbers on this using our friendly neighborhood. Milestone is better, but to try to make it approachable for a lot of parties out there, I'm going to try to root it in experience points at least a little bit.
I mean, first things first, this place is going to be trapped. People are not supposed to be in here.
Okay, so the level 4 to level 5 gap. Yeah, so it's only 1,800 experience points takes you from level 3 to level 4, which is pretty believable. I think that we can make that happen, right? That Bone Hulk's big. We got some stuff going on. Our next gap is 3,800.
Okay.
3,800 experience. Michael has left us.
He's gone.
Michael.
Sorry. My camera was very fuzzy and was not unfuzzing.
At this point, we're level 4. And
So we got extra CR.
A level 4 monster, a CR4 monster, nets you a sick nasty 1,100 XP.
Damn, that's a lot. That's way more than I thought.
Now that is divided among the players. So
we're assuming 4 players.
Yeah, 4 to 6. But it's
Low
usually
end.
I don't
can't get 6
often see
friends.
groups as big as 6. So that gets us to 550, which gets us to 275 per encounter, if that math adds, which it doesn't. And I want to be clear about that one more time for those of you at home who are listening to this, because we're trying to demystify DMing. Challenge rating is, a lot of people say challenge rating is useless. I disagree. Challenge rating is good at telling you if the monster you are looking at is a good fit, is like too strong for the party, right? Trying to do like CR math, where you're like, I have up to CR4 to work with for the party, and I'm going to crunch all the numbers, and none of that math adds up at all. But if you have a level 4 party and you throw like a bunch of monsters at them and you never get above the CR that matches their level, the party's probably going to be fine as long as you're not like a weird jerk about it. Anywho, I just wanted to take the time to discuss that.
All right, monsters we can put in here. One single ghost.
It's only like 2 or 3 full encounter days.
Yeah, not bad. Really not bad. A big dungeon, don't get me wrong. This is still, I wouldn't say a super dungeon, but
2 seconds.
a large dungeon for sure. So while Michael's gone, one single ghost to CR4. Pretty funny.
Yeah,
To just fight one ghost and get 1,000 XP.
I know, 250 XP per person.
Yeah, it's a lot. So there's that. We've got Flesh Construct.
Are we just
at CR5?
undead pretty much, right? Undead and constructs?
It's got to be undead and constructs. Maybe elementals
Yeah.
if they've taken residence. I could see. No, like nothing else. Nothing else makes sense here.
Yeah, so I'm looking through for like our strong options, much like you're doing. Animated armor
Shambling Mound.
is a class.
Animated armor. Yep. Shambling Mound, animated armor, ghost.
Brain in a jar is pretty good. CR3 brain in a jar.
Is hilarious.
We love a brain in a jar.
Brain in a jar, like still maintaining control of this crypt So leading security and stuff like that is fun.
We've got Deathlocks are great. That's Mordenkainen Presents Monsters the Multiverse. We've got a CR4 Deathlock. We got CR3 Deathlock White. I'm scrolling through. We've got Ghasts. We got Ghosts. We got Ghouls.
We could put a were-rat.
A couple of were-rats, I think, would really.
A couple of were-rats in there.
A couple of were-rats would really fill out this dungeon.
I think it would do them good.
I think somebody brought up a really good sort of were-rat-based idea earlier that people were, I would say, pretty mean about. I would say a lot of pretty hurtful stuff got said. We can't have a mummy.
Oh.
We could put like black pudding,
Some figgy
some
pudding.
oozes,
That's
some
pretty fair.
oozes up ins. I was just trying to think of like things that aren't undead or constructs that are possible.
I think we're good. I think this is just a dungeon where your cleric gets to be the hero. Like, I think that's pretty much what we're working with. All right, I'm almost.
If we put a
through.
shambling mound in the farmland, like, oh, it's totally normal. This is like a chill area. Get attacked. Pretty rough. We could put the shambling mound in the crypt though.
Shambling Mound's a great fit for the promenade.
True. Right outside. All right. Yeah, we've got a list of like 4 main enemies.
Yeah, I just found out that Withers is a
Baldur's Gate guy.
Yeah, he's also in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure.
What? Is he creepy?
He's in. This can't be the same guy. This has got to be a coincidence. He's a neutral evil.
That sounds kind of like Withers to me so far.
Huh. He's the guy. Oh, Withers is the guy who built the Tomb of Annihilation. One of the people that built the actual structure. I wonder if that's the same Withers. So here's the monsters that I got. Animated Armor, Banshee, Brain in a Jar, a Death's Head, Deathlock, Deathlock White, Ghast, Ghost, Ghoul, Knoll, Witherling, Shadow, Skeleton, Spectre, Undying Soldier, White, and Zombie. So, a lot of undead, a lot of constructs. I think we can really have some fun here. I'm trying to figure out how to make good use of our time. We've got, we stopping at 8 or 8:30?
8.
8, so we got 18 minutes. We're in the Tomb of Lineage. We need them to fight roughly 13.8 encounters, give or take, for us to all feel really good about hitting level 5. We know what the last encounter is. You are fighting Felcris, those who are. For that, I'm going to kick it up to CR4. I want him to... Or he'll be CR3. Do we want to fight Felcris by himself and make a solo monster? Or do we want to kick it up to like... Or do we want to pick one of these pre-existing stat blocks and stick them in there?
I like a solo. We do a lot of like adding extras. I'd like to kick him up a little, make him a little strong.
So that's pretty easy. It just means he needs to have layer actions. He needs to have legendary actions. And he needs a full suite. For those of you that are listening, this is not in the D&D books anywhere. This is just good advice that they don't follow. If you want a creature to survive, it needs to have actions, bonus actions, and reactions. It needs to be able to use every piece of its turn. And do not give it spells. You're a DM.
So annoying.
You're not going to read through spells. You're not going to sit there and phase through and try to figure out which ones to do. Give it abilities that feel like spells. Call it a day. So our last encounter is a solo encounter with a big nasty boy who's the equivalent of like a CR6 creature if he needs to stand up to the test there. So it sounds like that's our main thing. That takes us to 12, and 12 cuts neatly into 2 days, into 2 6 encounter days. So I think what we most strongly need to do is just figure out A, what do those do? And B, are we trying to pinch a long rest in here somewhere?
They got to take a long rest. I don't see how they're getting
12
through
encounters.
12
How?
encounters in one day.
So how?
Great question.
They have to set up camp. Somewhere in this dungeon.
Farm. I know farms before.
See, they're the same way they would in any dungeon, any large dungeon. You clear a room, you close the door, you board it up, and you say, "You're staying awake. I'm going to bed." And then you go to bed and you wake up.
All right,
That's
fair
it.
enough. So we know we want like 2 big nasty days full of chills and thrills. Let's say we want half of the encounters to be combat.
Yeah.
So each day we'll have 3 combat encounters. We love traps. So we'll have 2 traps per day. Per day. For the record, the party will be able to go through this dungeon however they want. We are operating under the assumption that the party are crazy, like most parties are, and will go through each and every individual room. So we'll probably want to pad this with like 3 extra encounters so that we can assume that they'll hit sort of roughly the right.
Slime room. We got a news room, baby.
So of our
Blood
6
room.
encounter day, we've got 2 traps. We've got 3 combats. And then we've got 1, like, not necessarily a puzzle,
Social.
but one thing that they need to, like, figure out, which includes social.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's not going to be super easy to get around this area, so that could be some sort of survival, wayfinding challenge.
Yeah, a really interesting way to do that I recommend very strongly is, what is the strongest monster that would have inhabited this structure? Start there. Or the strongest character. And remember that this entire building is built for them. Anybody else who's here is intruding. So if I pull up the Lich, we got Legendary Resistance, we got Rejuvenation, we got Spellcasting, we've got Paralyzing Touch, we got Frightening Gaze, we got Disrupt Life. What are we... I'm hoping for like a... Finger of Death, Plane Shift. So basically what I'm assuming is we've got liches that are casting either fly or levitate on themselves every day. So there are some areas that are just meant for a lich to be able to like scream hand forward across an abyss and not worry about it, right?
It's a fucking massive pit. Yeah. That's easy. I think massive pit is it's not a trap. You know it's there, but you do need to figure out a way around it. Tensor's floating disc or fly, or you have to make a strength check to throw a grappling hook to the other side and then crawl across it. Whatever. That's easy. That's one. A lich flies across a big pit that you can't crawl out of.
Because this dungeon, assumably, is not meant to hold, like, the house of Baliar Deathwoken, right? We're going to a ritual space that can be used to revive the Emperor in case of emergencies, right? We're going to, like, a crazy, like, crystal bug-out bag kind of thing.
Yeah. Primarily, it's meant to keep people out so they can't revive him as a ghoul and fuck over the lineage. So it is vitriolic going into this place. It is dangerous and terrible. And it still is, because the things that were awoken here didn't die. They're like 10 miles below ground or whatever. They're still there, still thinking they're keeping the body safe, which they are.
Yeah. Okay.
So Big Hole is one of the social exploration problems. Next social exploration problem would be probably the entryway to the actual chamber. This could be a password, it could be a sigil, it could be a sacrifice of some sort, like we did back up top. Something that will weaken the party before the final encounter.
I like the idea that we just raise the stakes of how you get into the whole building, right? It's just it's another thing that is meant to take the blood of a full person.
Yeah, it's like now you have an additional d6 of necrotic damage that you cannot get back from healing magic.
it adds an element of like, and of course they could also just be very clever, right? If somebody's like, I cast like blah blah blah, like I summon water, I summon like I cast I'm trying to think, like summon woodland beings, and I set about to my grim work. Like
I grab the brain in a jar and I wring it out, and we're good.
yeah, and a clever person will just kill a bunch of like undead that still have blood and just bring them over here. And you know, there are a lot of ways to sort of cleverly get around this that don't involve bleeding yourself dry like a dumbass. Traps are just traps. We don't need to figure that out. Make a DC whatever dexterity save, or a big axe hurts you. Or a or a powerful blah 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 blast from the wall, or a screaming skull shoots out of a wall and screams at you. It's great. And we don't need to worry about that too much. Our encounters, our exterior encounters are probably just meant to keep idiots out, right? They probably aren't even necessarily meant to be lethal, right? This is a mausoleum that's here. You're just discouraging people, trying to keep out the curious. They may even have done a little bit of the like U.S. nuclear arsenal thing, where they were like, we need to plan for future generations that might not know what this building is. And so the first few encounters are probably just like skeletons and zombies that are not even programmed to be lethal. I like the idea that the first encounter is just a group of creatures that try to grapple the players and take them outside and like throw them. So we've got this sort of like non-lethal stuff. The next two encounters are going to be scary, but not necessarily impossible. We just want that energy of like a tomb. So it's going to be a bunch of skeletons and then a wight, or it's going to be a bunch of ghouls and one ghast. The ghouls act intelligently until you kill the ghast, and then they act like idiots.
The ghoul and ghast, I think, is a perfect next section, because that is now you're too far, you're going to be killed.
Now you are clearly trying to break in, right? We've passed the hill, which brings us. I mean, that puts us through our first 3 combat encounters, and so now we're in the big stuff. This is something that we can flavor this as. It's important to remember, because this area is decaying. These encounters can have once been able to take out like a level 15 party, and now have decayed to such a state that the party will be able to handle it, right? We can describe the bones of a dragon crumpled in the corner, and as you enter, they sort of inertly lift, but there's not enough necrotic mana energy filling the space to actually bring the creature back anymore, and so it is a somewhat less dicey encounter than it could be. Go ahead and talk about that while I blow my nose for the 300th time.
Beyond that, we've already talked about like the runes and stuff not being activated. I think that it would be fun with our bad guy having entered, some of them coming to life more. So now it's like the 2 traps we have are magical in nature. You see the lights flicker enough to turn on because he's here. That guy's not strong enough to wake up a dragon. You're not gonna get that shit going. No. So it still fits in.
Yeah, but he has a little boost, a little pizzazz to him.
Yeah, it's not just skeleton guards. It's skeleton guards and a rune that explodes.
I also like this because it roots us really strongly in D&D mechanics. And Prospect is supposed to be a 5e setting. Because one of the big weird things, right, is that like a lich can't make 1,000 undead. We know that they do lore-wise, but like I'm looking at the stat block over here, they can't. And so what it is instead is we've really tied it to this idea that I think is really good, which is that as a structure, this place is built to sustain and create undead. And so Felcris Thosuar is not a lich. Felcris is like a wraith. He's like a kind of powerful undead. And so he can't create, like he can't resurrect this place. And he would need to just start sacrificing people to like charge and suffuse this place with energy and start feeding on probably Cradle like it used to in the distant past.
What he can do is wake up his boss, and his boss can definitely do it. He's just not going to succeed.
Big fight in room 1. In room 2, I kind of want to return us to, I think it would be fun to do an encounter where we have like a chained up or somehow like domesticated shepherd. The Celestials that serve our guy. Let me see what we've got in the like low CR Celestial.
That's a scary ass idea.
Yeah, it's pretty limited, that selection.
Let me kick it up to CR5 and see if anything good. Yeah, if we kick it up to CR5, we can come in with like we will make stat blocks. We always do, and I love making stat blocks. But to get something right out of the book, it'll be like a good one-on-one fight would be like, we got a CR5 Battle Force Angel from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, right? One of the rooms is just a dude with like a sword, like a sword made of darkness or whatever the hell, and it's like it's a whatever, like it's a shepherd, run, and then they have to fight it, or you know, we'll give it. It'll be one of those things where it's like, is this creature too tough for you guys to fight? Maybe a little. We'll just give it, you know, sunlight sensitivity, and we'll make it weak to radiant damage. And it's like you got what you need to make this a livable encounter if the party's not
You have
stupid.
a paladin or a cleric, which every party will have at least one of. You're good.
Or a torch, and then it'll have disadvantage on all its attacks, and you're having a great time.
What would you even call this thing? Because it's not a shepherd anymore. You'd probably call them like Grims or something like that.
Call them like sheep's clothing.
Yeah, I don't know,
shepherd.
something good. Calling them wolves is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Something like that is just good. Because again, we're just trying to, our goal is to introduce players to Prospect. And so trying to get as many of our like little weird corner stuff in is always going to be really helpful. And the Shepherds are a great example of something that's easy to just drop in wherever you want it.
Yeah, we have so much in this world.
Yeah, but we've done a good job of introducing them to the people
Oh, yeah.
who matter in these locations as they jump from place to place. And then we have one more. We have the penultimate encounter. So somebody fights you in the room outside of the ritual room where you have to kill Felcrus Thosuar.
Brain in a jar and his boys, baby.
Yeah.
The brain in the jar is head of security, and he's still kicking, and he's got all of his friends.
We could do a brain in a jar that is also animated armor, and it's like
Yeah. Hell yeah.
as you're doing damage, but you're only doing damage to the animated armor, and you watch the brain in a jar like woo, float off to one of the other.
Get back here! Another armor.
Yeah, and the flavor of it for why can't I just like attack the brain in a jar is it lands and then the helmet goes like
Yep. Can't hit it.
Sort of like head of security, but tis.
Nat 20s, I could see flavoring as you crack the glass.
Yeah, head. Of
Yeah, there's that. If anyone has some sort of like gaseous magic.
Yeah, there's fun options. You could be like, I cast polymorph on just the armor. There's some fun there.
I don't think they have polymorph for that level yet.
Nah, but
Oh
some
yeah,
shit
they're level
like
4,
that.
not level 5, so they're not cracking into some of the like earlier stuff. Well, that's fine. They
Heat
get
metal,
through that
boil
encounter.
the brain.
They open the
Sure.
door.
Oh my god, yeah. Female would be amazing.
Yeah.
This immense magical ritual is taking place. Great beacons alight. You enter and you must fight Felcrus Thosuar. He's a wraith, so we know what the powers look like, right? He's making orbs of darkness. He's able to shadow step from area of darkness to area of darkness. It's going to be a lot of like command, dominate person. We don't want to give spells, so we're going to give like, you know, those kinds of effects. He'll probably be able to make some like CR skeletons appear in front of him. And then probably an ability that's like, you know, die for me. Or like if he would take damage, one of the skeletons can like get down Mr. President
Sure.
in front of him.
Yeah, do we want to give him regenerate at all?
We could at this low level. That's going to be a little tough on the party.
Mm-hmm.
But giving him some way to like sustain his life would be good. Maybe probably because we want him to have minions, but we want to get rid of them pretty quick. He could probably summon 1d4 skeletons with a bonus action every round, and then can, with an action on another round, consume one and take that HP as healing, which encourages the party to get skeletons in the dirt.
We
I
could
could-
do vampiric touch. So
I
when
was
they're fighting a
thinking something
barbarian,
blood.
Yeah.
it de-incentivizes up close combat.
Deep in the
On a
millennia space
spellcaster.
right now. Hell yeah. Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Okay. I like that. And then what happens if the party takes too long, right? Because we know what's going to happen, which is that somehow, even though the party has taken hours to get there, they have X number of rounds until the ritual finishes regardless.
I think if they take too long, they don't see what's they see like a shadow image of the boy. Maybe if somebody gets a super high check, they'd be able to know who it is.
They see this image of Baliar, either his current form as this boy or this like folding kaleidoscope of souls, right? He has 1,000 lives stacked end on end across eternity, plotting and planning from time's beginning. Balyar has always been there and always seeking to do this. He appears, Felcris Thosuar offers him this chance, and we see Felcris dismissed, but is given a gift for his loyalty. A powerful being is summoned. Or does...
I was going to say, Pyramid awakens. It's empowered. Now, the shit that you didn't get a chance to deal with, some of them rise, enter the room, and you're fighting them. Bone Dragon, baby. Not necessarily, but something along those lines.
Yeah, I want the party to
You feel the pyramid lift up.
I want the party to have a not impossible... It's cube. I want the party to have a not zero chance of winning. Still.
It's not going to be a bone dragon. It's not a bone dragon.
No, but
it's something
so,
like that.
Does he give him, like, a big crystal that makes the tower start to generate so that the party can, like, attack the crystal? Does he empower Felcris, and so Felcris is the conduit through which the square is powered? Or does he summon, like, a well of souls rips open kind of vibe?
I was thinking maybe make him not Wraith anymore, bring him back. So he has his full blood magic back.
Secondary stat block, like section 2, second phase.
Yeah. It's solid. It does queue us up pretty hard in a and then the party dies.
Yeah. I think, he empowers our bad guy. He lifts off the ground. He bulks up. The black magic rolling off of him is clearly more intensified. He gets to pull up 1d6 skeletons instead of 1d4. And it's clear that the cube is beginning to rise. You kill him, it crashes back down. Things aren't risen, right? He gets a little bit stronger. In universe, it's like, oh my god, he's so much stronger. In reality,
fair enough.
He's just regular stronger.
Okay. So he heals him for, 75 HP or something. If he can live long enough, right? It'll take, we'll say, a minute, right? That never happens in D&D. If the party fights for 10 rounds, if they whiff it big time, then the spell goes off. Felcris Thosuar is awoken and emerges as something far more powerful. And we can do the classic D&D maneuver, which is we know Felcris was a lich. If he comes back as a lich, he's going to kill the party, where it's like, no, we describe, you see the shadows flowing into Felcris as combat resumes. You have one chance. If Felcris does not die here, his full power will be restored, and blah, 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 blah. He is still weak. We can still do this. Kind of the classic.
Yeah. You see spirits beginning to fly into his form. Easy.
Sure.
But they're just not all there yet. Cool. I mean, that's
an adventure. You're level 5. Felcris goes into the ground. You're level 5, baby, and you get a staff. I don't know, a wand or something.
Shit like that.
A blighted sword or something.
A necro coin. We can flavor it. Something crazy.
You get a Skella follower.
Just a permanent add-on. You get the brain in the jar. He can give you lore secrets.
Yeah,
you get to take one of the farmer skeletons with you.
He'll make you really good food.
There is... it would be a very complex thing to add and would involve us doing a lot of legwork. There is something fun about a necklace or something drops, and this cube is inert, but you are in charge of an inert cube now. His symbol of office falls to the ground, and so you could command skeletons to answer. If they step outside of the cube, they die, because the cube's the only thing keeping them alive.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a thing that most people don't use, which is a stronghold. Yeah, you get a stronghold.
Yeah.
That's fun. People love a good stronghold. You get to repair it, build it up good.
You also, if you do that, you become the enemy of the Life Woken.
Yeah, they're not happy.
Yeah, touched by necromancy is a bad vibe. Yeah, and we'll probably add a subline where if you tell who's our big bad? Vestibular Corinne. If you tell Vestibular Corinne where you are from, what you were doing, the Vestibular will probably give you like a little. She gives you a little bead of bright light in a tube, and she says, like, when the time comes, at the center of that place, shatter this and run. You know, if you want to make an ally of the Lifewoken, she will give you, you know, a nuke, a very powerful delayed blast fireball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think with that,
that's pretty good.
We've made the bones of a hopeless prospect, an introductory adventure to prospect. But
I think we made a bit more than the bones.
We made the bones and some sinew. We gotta actually make the flesh.
The
next.
skeletal-muscular system. I feel good.
Yeah. Overall, great job, guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in. You can catch this stream every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch our Theros actual play every Wednesday at 7 p.m., 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Besides that, find us on TikTok. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We've got a website, ttrpguy.com. We have an adventure and a one-page RPG coming out in the near future. Both of those are in their final wrap-up design phases. So we're playtesting and we're getting them out there. That's all for me. Subscribe on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, etc. Thank you.
Woo! See y'all later.